Yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your guy, ElijahVandross, and we're back with another mock draft Monday. And let me just say something real quick. I just want to apologize to any Vikings fans that might have watched that last video that I did for the mock draft for the NFC. I don't know what I was thinking, but I honestly forgot that the Vikings drafted J.J. McCarthy, and he was just injured. Like, it went right over my head. That's me. That's on my bad. It's bad analyst work, bad scouting work. I penciled in Shadur Sanders at, I think, pick 32 in the NFC, in the All NFC mock draft. That's on me. It's my bad. I completely forgot. Seriously, I completely forgot. That really meant that Shadur wouldn't have went in the first round in the last mock draft, which was kind of crazy by me. But I guess that mock draft was kind of just a big shaker. With that being said, though, welcome back to the channel. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you're new. If you're not, if you're just tuning in again, appreciate you as always. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you guys are leaving some comments as well. Helps me boost the algorithm. Again, if you think I'm missing somebody in the first round, be sure to let me know too. I always appreciate the feedback. You guys always see me comment back to you. Again, I appreciate just going back and forth with you guys. But we're going to get into this mock draft. It's going to be a full first round mock draft for every team. I'm just going to go ahead and get on into it. I think after this, too, I'm going to start getting back into my divisional breakdown mock drafts. They were pretty popular a couple years ago, so I think I'm going to bring those back. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and get on into this one, so I hope you guys enjoy. So right off the rip, I mean, we can just see the notable changes in the draft order. We got Titans at 2, Browns now at 8, Raiders at 7, which is actually pretty good for them because they're in the hunt for a quarterback. Buccaneers at 15. We got Lions and Chiefs. Chiefs really haven't moved. They've kind of been maneuvering between 30 to 32, kind of just like the Texans. So those are two teams that probably back end of the draft. Niners somehow dropped down to 17. So it's going to be interesting to honestly see what transpires these next couple of weeks in football. Like I said, this is probably going to be where we figure out who's going to make playoffs. So we're going to have to see, who potentially could tank for a pick. With that being said, let's get right on into it. No trades as per usual. I don't want to get into any trades just yet. Not only that, they're so hard to predict. Like, you never know who's going to go on draft night. Getting into the one pick with the Carolina Panthers, I think it's going to be a quarterback. I don't think they run the dice with Bryce Young again. Obviously, the Red Rockets probably not going to be there for another season. If he is, it's probably not going to be a starting quarterback. It's going to be a mentor role. With that being said, I do think that they take a quarterback. And it's kind of really between Cam Ward and Shadur Sanders, as I've been saying for each mock draft. And for the sake of time, I'm just going to grab Cam Ward here. I think he's going to be the number one quarterback off the draft board. I love Shadur as a prospect. I really, really do. But Cam Ward just possesses this poise in his game that it's hard to deny, realistically. It's honestly very hard to deny. I think Cam Ward is going to be a tremendous prospect going forward with the combine process and everything like that, which I hope he tests. I don't see why he wouldn't. And as well as Shadur, I hope he tests well as well. But I think Cam Ward is going to be the first quarterback off the board. And then we get into the Tennessee Titans scenario, and they're pretty much just blowing it up already, trading away DeAndre Hopkins. Doesn't seem like the run game is going to get any better. They're dealing with some lingering injuries in both Tyjae Spears and Pollard. Quarterback-wise, I mean, I don't think you give Will Levis another shot. There's a chance that they, take that chance and just hope that they can get him a big weapon like Tataro McMillan, and maybe it changes the trajectory of Will Levis. But I feel like we've seen all the sample sizes that we've needed with Will Levis, and I think it's really time for them to move on. Now, quarterback-wise, I don't think that there's a quarterback for them that can fit their scheme and change their game right away. At least not in the draft. Maybe in free agency they can find someone that can definitely help that franchise bounce back. So that's kind of why I'm on the fray of grabbing them a quarterback. I think right here a wide receiver is just going to be their best bet. Number one wide receiver in this draft is 6'5" Tataro McMillan, who's coming off, I think, a 200-plus yard game. I mean, he's absolutely killing it. So there's no doubt in my mind that he's the first wide receiver off the board. And then we get into the New England Patriots, who are apparently just clamoring for a tackle in every mock draft that I've seen. But there's no way you look at a weapon like Travis Hunter, especially with, the history that New England has with weapons, although they have missed out on a couple. I don't know how you look at Travis Hunter and go, nah, there's no way. And even then, I don't think I could let Travis Hunter slip out of the top 3 realistically, because I don't even think he does. I think he does go in the top 3 no matter what team's picking him. And I really do hope that my New England Patriots take Travis Hunter, because he is a once-in-a-generation talent for sure. I'm not going to say once in a lifetime, because we have seen players, play to both positions. Obviously not to the snap count or magnitude that Travis Hunter has, but for my generation, Travis Hunter is exactly what they look like. Then we get into the Jets, who you need to make a decision. You got Aaron Rodgers, his buddy, in Devontae Adams. You still lost to the New England Patriots, who really, it seems like every team's beating. And now you have Aaron Rodgers questioning whether he can still do this. The defensive side of the ball, I think they're pretty set. Like, I don't think there's much that they need to really fix. But offensively, they need like something that's going to get them going. Breece Hall's having a lackluster year. Everybody thought he was going to have a super big year. He's had a couple of, good games, but nothing too crazy. I'm not saying that the running back position's a target, but I'm just saying offensively, there's been struggles. Wide receiver wise, Garrett Wilson's probably been, the shining star for that offense. But I mean, go figure, right? With that being said, Lazard's there. Garrett Wilson's there. Devontae Adams is there. You're not going to need receivers. Quarterback-wise, though, do you run the dice with Aaron Rodgers one more year? Do you take Aaron Rodgers and just get him a predecessor? Do you want to grab somebody that you think can potentially turn the franchise around after Aaron leaves? Obviously, them getting rid of Saleh probably means they're going to be having a new head coach after the end of the season, who could very well might want to take a quarterback. And with Shedeur sitting at 4, I wouldn't mind Shedeur on the New York Jets. They have a bunch of talent with him. But I also, Quinn Ewers, who is having a hell of a year with Texas, is going to be on the board as well. I think Dylan Gabriel rises up draft boards. I think Riley Leonard rises up draft boards if Riley Leonard wants to go this season. Jackson Dart could go rise up draft boards. But I think right here for the Jets, it's really between Quinn Ewers and Shedeur Sanders. Now, do I think Shedeur Sanders is a good fit for the Jets? Not really. I'm going to be completely honest. I think Quinn Ewers is probably a better fit for the Jets, simply because I think Shedeur Sanders is pro-ready. I think Shedeur Sanders can start in his first season. It might be a long stretch to say that now, but I think he's pro-ready, him and Cam Ward. Now, I think Quinn Ewers is good to sit a year behind Aaron Rodgers if you want to take that chance. And even if not, if you want to put Quinn in the fray, he's got the goods to do it. You have a lot of talent around him. Now, the only thing that does concern me with Quinn Ewers is the injuries. I mean, he's had, some lingering injuries throughout his college career. But if you can get those fixed up in time for the NFL, I think he would be a great pick at number 4. And it sounds crazy right now, but we might see some quarterbacks go off the board pretty early, even though this class might not be as talented as we really thought. Getting into the Jaguars, guard, tackle, and corner being a need, and I don't think it's a question. You need to grab Will Johnson here. You need to go ahead and get yourself someone that can be the head of your secondary. Guys in Jacksonville are just getting torched, but Will Johnson's one of those guys you can leave on an island. Even in his first year, I think he can play CB1 for sure. I mean, if you're going to go ahead and move him around in the schemes and stuff like that, that's completely fine. But if you want to leave him on an island, like we've seen with some of these other rookie cornerbacks getting these opportunities, Will Johnson's one of those guys that you can definitely leave on the island and trust that he's going to make a play for sure. Getting into the Saints, this is where I think we see Shedeur Sanders go. I think he's a great fit for Dennis Allen's scheme. And I really think that the weapons around him would appreciate having a talented arm like Shedeur's. Obviously, there's some concerns with, media and stuff like that. But I don't think that translates to the field. Like, we're talking about field where he's going to be actually playing. So I think Shedeur Sanders is the pick here. Obviously, guard and defensive line need to be worked out. I think you could grab a guard a little bit later in this draft, though. This offensive line class is super talented. There's tackles that are going to be moved to guard as well. So there's going to be a lot of offensive line that goes in probably the first 3 rounds. Getting into the Raiders, who actually are probably going to be the one team that's pretty discouraged that they didn't get in on the Shador Sanders sweepstakes. But I really think that the Raiders can make a splash in free agency. I don't know for who, because I'm going to be honest, these picks here, you really don't want to take a chance on, especially with the history that the Raiders have. Do you want to take a chance on Jalen Milroe? Maybe. But if I'm the Raiders, I'm really not taking a chance on Jalen Milroe, especially in a top 10 pick. What I would do here is change the run game. One thing that I've watched with the Raiders' run game in the past couple of games is it is stinky. Like, it stinks. I think I've seen Mattinson have at least 3 or 4 touchdowns that he just gives up at the goal line. Zamir White has been dealing with a lot of lingering injuries, and I think Ashton Jeanty right here could change your franchise for sure. I mean, we've seen the play style that he's been using in college football. I think it fits the Raiders scheme. You can literally use him as a cowbell back and not have to worry about anything. So I think if the Raiders want to change their offensive trajectory, it's going to be, starting with the run game, realistically. I think they have a lot of opportunity to open up their pass game, even if you want to go with Minshew for another year. But I still think they can make a splash in free agency for a quarterback. I don't think it's hard to find somebody that wants to play in Vegas. Like, I think it's a great place to play in. But I think Ashton Jeanty can really help out their offense immediately. Then we get into Cleveland, and Cleveland, there's some problems. Like, seriously, Cleveland, there's some problems. Deshaun Watson going down with the Achilles. Do you want to give Jameis Winston another year? Probably not. So you're probably going to want to, they might be a team, I don't even know how to put it into words. They're going to be a team that reaches for a quarterback. They might be the team that we see take Jalen Milroe at 8 simply because they need a guy that can make plays. Jalen Milroe, the best dual threat quarterback in this draft class. Bit undersized, but he has that cannon of an arm. I don't think how do I put this lightly? I don't think his play style really fits the NFL. It's really like a run and gun kind of thing. And when I say run and gun, I mean it's either tuck the ball and run or throw it for about 60 plus yards, which isn't bad, but you kind of need a quarterback that can translate on all 3 levels of the field. And it's a little interesting to say because Jalen Milroe has a very high football IQ. Like, he can be a leader on the football field, but we haven't seen a lot of Jalen Milroe's play style previously in other quarterbacks translate to the NFL. With that being said, I'm still going to draft Jalen Milroe here because they still need a quarterback. But there's a chance they might go Jameis Winston for another year. I mean, I wouldn't be mad at it because Jameis Winston did just have a great game against the Ravens. But there's still that chance that you got to risk Jameis Winston falling off, 6 or 7 weeks into the season. And do you want to take that risk? I mean, the Browns have already been through so much, so it's kind of like give your fans something to at least clamor for the season, realistically. And getting into the Giants, Tua's back. I was hating, by the way. I was hating. Tua's back. I didn't think that he was going to come back. I'm going to be completely honest. And it's kind of clear-cut. What you need to do at this point is just get Tua some protection. Tackle and guard being a need for the Dolphins. No need to worry because Will Campbell more than likely is going to translate over to the guard position at the next level. And he is an absolute unit. I mean, I can't stress this enough. 6'6", 323 pounds. He is a freak of nature. If you have not seen his tape, go check that out. I've actually been deep diving a little bit more into the offensive line tape so that way I can go ahead and get some more proper picks in these mock drafts as we keep going down the way. So I hope you guys appreciate that. But Will Campbell definitely going to be the first offensive lineman off this board. If not, it's going to be Kelvin Banks. But I think right here, for the fit, you kind of want to grab somebody that's going to be an anchor for your offensive line. And I think Will Campbell can definitely offer that for the Miami Dolphins. And New York Giants, they're a team that's also going to be in the need for a QB because there's no way you go Daniel Jones another year. I really don't think it's going to happen. Now, there's some quarterbacks that are going to be making noise these next, 4 weeks of play. Dylan Gabriel is going to be one. Drew Allard is going to be another. Connor Weigman, who's been making a lot of noise, I don't think he goes in the first round, to be completely honest. If you're going to draft a first-round quarterback at this point, it's probably going to be Nussmeier, Beck, and maybe Jackson Dart, I'm going to be honest. But I think here, Giants are probably going to go Carson Beck. He seems like a safety net pick for the Giants. They need a quarterback that can honestly just help their offense out, seriously. And Carson Beck is a winner. He's got great leadership. He's got a talented arm as well. A lot of people try to diminish his game, but Carson Beck can definitely play some football for sure. We're getting into the Bengals. I don't think wide receiver is a need, I'm going to be honest. They got some guys that need some more opportunities. They got some tight ends that are being built up. I think Mason Graham is a big fit for them. You kind of need someone to be Hendrickson's running mate and help him out on the defensive line. You need someone that's going to help, stop that run game. And you need someone that's mean, because the AFC North is absolutely mean from what I can see. LA Rams at 12, and this is probably where we see Kelvin Banks go more than likely. Matt Stafford probably has about 2 full seasons left of, solid football to play. There's rumors about him being traded as well, but I definitely think if they're going to keep Matt Stafford for the next 2 to 3 years, you got to grab a guy that's going to keep him safe, keep him protected, and not to mention Kyron Williams has been killing it in the run game. Getting into the Cowboys, them boys, and I think this is a clear-cut pick right here. You need a running back, and this is where I've been getting a little interested. I'm going to be honest, in these past couple weeks, because the running back race has been really, really good. Caleb Johnson's having a hell of a year. Ollie Gordon slowly falling down draft boards after being majority RB2 for, prior to the season getting started, weeks 1 through 3, a lot of people still had him at RB2. Omarion Hampton is also having a good year, and RJ Harvey's having a sneaky, quiet good year. Quinshon Judkins playing up to par to what we expected. Obviously, he has to split most of his reps with Travion Henderson, so it's a little hard to really, decipher if I want to take Quinshon Judkins in the first round. I'm going to be honest, though. If I'm the Cowboys right here, I'm taking Caleb Johnson or I'm taking Omarion Hampton. You want someone that is going to come in right away and make an immediate impact. And I'm going to be honest, with the games that Caleb Johnson's been having, I'm going to take Caleb Johnson at 13 because that's what mock drafts are all about anyway. We're all about getting some guys a little bit more love. And if you guys haven't tuned into any Iowa games, Caleb Johnson is as good as it gets. Top 5 in yards, top 3 in touchdowns right now. He is one of them ones, and I think he's going to be a top 3 running back coming into this NFL draft after the Combine's over, after the Senior Bowl's done. I think he's going to be one of the guys that a lot of scouts are talking about in terms of future production value in the NFL. Now, getting into the Colts, I think this is where we can see a safety going. I've done a lot of mock drafts, and I've seen safeties go very early, which I'm pretty surprised about because it's not something that we're accustomed to seeing realistically, but with the talent level in this year's draft defensively in the secondary, there's a chance that we can definitely see a safety go. We're going to take Malachi Starks because the Colts do need safety help. They need help in the secondary. And we get into the Buckaroos, and I think this is pretty easy to pick. You're going to go defensive line or you're going to want to go edge. Vita Vea is not getting any younger. I'm going to be completely honest. Obviously, defensive linemen kind of have more longevity compared to most NFL positions. But I think here you can take a guy like Nick Scorton or you can take a guy like LT Overton. Again, I've been raving about LT Overton. I've also been raving about Jack Sawyer, who I love his game. But we're going to take Nick Scorton. I think he's the first edge off the board in this year's draft class. Talented edge player. We're getting into the Seahawks. And again, I think there's going to be a lot of tackles. Well, not that I think, but I've been told. There's going to be a lot of tackles that get transferred over to guard. But Seahawks are honestly one of those teams that you need help on both levels. But you need someone that's going to help the tackle immediately. And I think Arante Ursary is going to be the best tackle fit for them because the right guard and right tackle, like I said in the NFC video, are completely atrocious this season. When it comes to QB pressures, they are top 2 in giving up. Probably not anymore. I think that was like 3 weeks ago, but they're definitely still top 5 in pressures given up to their quarterback, and that's just the right side of the line. So if Seahawks can definitely get a fix in there, they can definitely help themselves out. Getting over to the corners for the 49ers because I think that is where they go. I don't think they keep Lenore and Ward together. It hasn't worked. It hasn't worked. I'm going to be completely honest. There's also a chance they could go safety here because Hufunga's just dealing with a lot of injuries. Kevin Winston could definitely boost your defense. So could Benjamin Morrison and so could Denzel Burke. I know Siobhan Ravel is going to deal with a little bit of slack because of the injuries. I've been seeing him actually fall down draft boards, which it's honestly hurting my heart to see, but I get it simply because people are going to see that he's coming off that injury this season, played at East Carolina. But by the way, it doesn't matter where you play when you play corner. If you got technique, if you have, the God-given ability, they're going to find you. We've seen it in the past, 4 to 5 drafts. Getting into the 49ers, it's clear that they need help in the secondary. I don't think they keep Lenore and Ward together. I can't remember which one of them got paid, but one of them did just get paid, so the other one's probably not going to get paid. With that being said, safety could also be a position that needs help. Hufanga dealing with a lot of lingering injuries. Obviously, that's kind of where they thought was going to be their focal point at safety, was going to be Talanoa Hufanga. And I think Kevin Winston is a good pick here. I think if you don't get, all the value that you want from Hufanga, you can at least have a replacement for him. I think Winston can come in immediately as well and make a difference in their secondary. Corners could definitely use help, but if you can find some money to keep Lenore and Ward together, why not? Let's just get somebody over the top that can definitely help them out in those deep pass scenarios, help them out in their zones. Get a guy like Kevin Winston who can help your defense out. Getting into the Bears, and I think this is a no-brainer. I think they need help on the D-line, and Kenneth Grant is literally the perfect option for them. Also best available, just happened to be. But falling into their lap at the 18th pick, the Bears are literally licking their chops at a pick like Kenneth Grant, who is an absolute unit, by the way. 6'3", 339. Yeah, good luck stopping that. And if you watch his tape, he gives quarterbacks fits when he gets in the backfield. He is an absolute tank. Cardinals needing a tackle, needing a linebacker. This is honestly very interesting because I don't think they're playing bad offensive line football, but you can still use the protection. You can still use, that extra boost. And I think, I'm going to be honest again, I'm going with Emory Jones. I think Emory Jones is going to be a top 5 tackle in this draft. Could be the second tackle off the board. That's just how I feel about it. You guys can hate if you want, but I like Emory Jones's game. I can't believe that he's been falling down draft boards. I think when we did the first mock draft, he was like the second tackle available, and the fact that he's just falling down for some reason, it doesn't make any sense because he's playing good football at LSU. I haven't been seeing too many pressures being given up by him, so it's a little underwhelming right now to understand why he's going down draft boards. But getting into the Chargers are, I don't know what's going to happen with them. I'm going to be honest. I really want them to take a wide receiver because they need the help. Like, they do need the help at wide receiver. They just don't have anybody that can, make big plays for them. And if you're looking for a guy that can make big plays, I think you're looking at a guy like Emeka Egbuka. I think you're looking at a guy, Isaiah Bond. If you want to run the risk of Quentin Johnson being your ex-receiver, take Luther Burden, make him your slot. But you have Ladd McConkey, who I think is a talented slot wide receiver. You're probably going to want to find a big body guy. Kyron Lacy, who I think is going to rise up draft boards, could be that pick. We've seen what he can do at LSU. And 6'2", 213, I think you can pair him up with Ladd. You don't got to worry about Quentin Johnson. Make Quentin Johnson your wide receiver 3. I think Kyron Lacy rises up draft boards. You could also take Elik Ayomanoir. I super botched that last name. Who's also a big body wide receiver, 6'2", 210. But I think in terms of production and in terms of just tape alone, Kyron Lacy's a safety pick. Another one that I would take would be Tez Johnson from Oregon, but Kyron Lacy, I mean, even just LSU in general, like we've seen what these LSU wide receivers can do in the league. So it's like, why not take that chance on an LSU wide receiver? They're obviously producing terrific talent over there, and it's going to continuously be that way. So, I would run the risk. I mean, I wouldn't even call it a risk. It's an investment, really, to take Kyron Lacy at the 20th pick. Getting in to the Falcons, another team that really should have beefed up their defense last draft, but they decided to take Michael Penix for whatever reason. I'm not going to judge, but could be a linebacker here. I think this is where we see Jahad Campbell, who's rising up draft boards, which I love to see because he is a talented prospect. Guy that can play different positions on the field, not just Mike linebacker, but he's also a leader as well, which I think the Falcons are missing. And I wish they would have beat up their defense last year, but we're going to do this here for them. Take Jahad Campbell. Again, I'm an OU fan, so it's kind of hard to take, anybody over Stutzman, but I think Stutzman is really just a big run stopper. So guys that are looking for that, that scheme fit, it's going to find Stutzman. But for Atlanta, you really need somebody that can play multifaceted positions. Like, you need someone that can come in and make an impact immediately and help out your defense, especially in the middle of the field. And the Broncos, I'm going to be honest. Look, I like what I'm seeing from Bo Nix. I was hating for a little bit. I didn't think it was going to work. He's playing good football, but the wide receiver play has just been atrocious. Like, really, really bad. And they can get a wide receiver here that can really help out their team. And I think Luther Burden would be a great pick for them. Why not add a slot wide receiver? Troy Franklin it isn't working out, and it hurts my heart to say because he was one of my favorite receivers during his draft class. But it just isn't working out. Like, it's not. He's dropping too many balls. There's too many opportunities for some of these other guys that are just mishandling them. And you need someone that can help Bo Nix. Luther Burden is a safety net pick. He's got great soft hands. He's one of the most talented slot wide receivers I've seen. You can line him up in the X if you want to, but at 5'10", I think he's going to translate very well at the slot position in the NFL. And we get into the Ravens. This is another team that, or not another team, but this is a team that I really find kind of hard to figure out what the flaws are outside of the secondary. I think corner's probably going to be their best bet here. I don't think Marlon Humphrey's getting any younger, nor is he getting any better from what it looks like. And some of the other guys that you have in that secondary just really aren't cutting it. Siobhan Ravel could be a pick here. Benjamin Morrison could be a pick here, and so could Denzel Burke. Like I said, I think Denzel Burke's playing tremendous football right now, and he's going to rise up draft boards. I think he's going to test really well. I know I've been saying that about some of these other guys constantly, but there's just so many tremendous athletes in this year's draft class, so it's hard to not want to highlight all of them realistically. Getting into the Dirty Birds of Philadelphia, and linebacker here could be in play. Edge could be in play as well. I feel like they just have a lot of talent on their edge, but I guess you do want to fill that gap of Hassan Riddick. LT Overton, Abdul Carter, Jack Sawyer, all in play here. James Pierce gives you that versatility of playing defensive tackle and also edge, but I really don't think you need that defensive tackle versatility, with some of the guys that you already have there. LT Overton, if we take a look at, just the game that he's playing, 2 sacks this season. Not bad. 6'5", 283, absolute unit. Abdul Carter, who's having a great season as well. 4 sacks on the year and 6'3", 252. Abdul Carter's been getting a lot of highlight as well, simply for his athleticism. A lot of people love the bend in his game. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going to take Abdul Carter as well for the Eagles. He's going to be a great fit on that defensive line if they can snag a player like that. Getting into the Pittsburgh Steelers, quarterback situation is figured out. Russell Wilson probably going to finish off the year. You still got Justin Fields for the next, 2 years, whenever they find time to fit him in there. But you got Russell Wilson pretty much going to run the offense for the rest of the season. What do you do going forward? You have Pickens, who's probably going to be there as your weapon. Who's your other weapon, though, outside of that? Calvin Austin? Like, do you really trust that as your other option? There's some other guys there. I can't remember their names right now, but I think wide receiver could also be in play for the Steelers. And if they get a guy like Emeka Egbuka or Isaiah Bond, like if you get a speed demon on there to mix in with, the big body, just mean type of football that George Pickens plays, that could be a recipe for success. Run game's pretty much taken care of. Defensively, they're pretty sound. I think the secondary is great there. Middle of the field is great. Edge, you got one of the Watt brothers. I mean, how much more can you ask for? Probably get a linebacker in the second round. And there's going to be some talented linebackers to choose from. But I think wide receiver-wise, you kind of got to take your chance and, take a guy that's really going to boost your team up. Emeka Egbuka is going to be that guy. You need a playmaker alongside George Pickens that can take a little bit of the load off of him. And I think Emeka Egbuka can fit really well in Mike Tomlin's scheme for sure. And we get into the Vikings, who, again, they drafted a quarterback, guys, so I'm not going to take a quarterback. My fault. Running back, obviously, has to be the pick here. Omarion Hampton in play. RJ Harvey's going to rise up draft boards. Or you could take a guy like Quinshon Judkins. Again, it's hard to really decipher where QJ is going to go, but he's really, really talented. He's a dual threat back. But Omarion Hampton, just a true cowbell. I think you can trust him with your offense going forward as a rookie. But again, it's just hard because you look at guys like Jahmyr Gibbs who are having talented seasons who really boosted the Lions offense. And it's like, well, Quinshon Judkins does what Jahmyr Gibbs does. So how do we take away from that? You have Aaron Jones if you really want to run that risk of having your dual threat back. He's not going to get any younger, though. I'm in a bind here. It's going to be between Hampton and Judkins for me for sure here. I'm going to take Judkins. I think Quinshon would really help out their offense, help out the run game. Pairing him up with Addison, pairing him up with Jettas, that's a lot of weapons for the offense. It's a lot of weapons for J.J. McCarthy to use. You want to run Sam Darnold back another year because he's playing great football. You want to run him back another year, I completely understand. Quinshon Judkins could be a guy in play right here for the Vikings. Buffalo Bills, another one of those teams where it's kind of hard to find gaps, what's wrong with them. We can get into linebackers for sure. I love Harold Perkins' game. He offers a lot of versatility. A lot of people are, a little questionable, though, because of the injury. Danny Stutzman is definitely going to help stop the run for you. And I'm going to take Stutzman. I don't think I've taken Stutz in the first round in any mock drafts, and that's on me. But I'm going to take Stutz here. I think he can help out Buffalo for sure. They need someone that can really have that mean streak on defense and really, bring back that Buffalo feel to football. So with that being said, Danny Stutzman at 27, not a bad pick. And we get into the Packers, the Cheeseheads, and I think it's pretty clear here. Just go ahead and protect your franchise. Go ahead and get Jordan Love some help. He keeps getting injured. He keeps having to deal with injuries. Get him someone that can really come in and just help out that offensive line immediately. Cameron Williams, who I'm hearing through the grapevine, is going to rise up draft boards. He's another talented tackle from Texas outside of Calvin Banks. We're getting into the Washington Commanders, who they're playing tremendous football. So them being at the 29th pick, a little bit of a shocker. But cornerback has to be in play here. There's no way you guys shy away from the fact that their secondary is just, it's bad. Like, it's really, really bad. I don't think St. Juste is the future. I don't think Forbes is the future. Go ahead. Let's get a fresh face in there. Let's at least get one guy that can definitely make an immediate impact. Benjamin Morrison can play the outside, can play the inside for you. I'd trust him on the outside as an island as well. Again, he's another one of those corners that you can leave out there and trust that he's going to put in work for sure. Texans coming in, and they're another team that they're really hard to find the holes as to what's wrong with them. Running back could be in play here because Mixon's not getting any younger. Dameon Pierce experiment kind of over with. Omarion Hampton here could immediately boost their run game. Even if he has to split carries for one season with Mix, coming in that second season, he's probably going to tear it up. A lot of mouths to feed already, but you need someone that can establish that run game for you. Omarion Hampton gives you that cowbell feel in terms of running backs. Getting into our last two picks, two teams that are just, it's hard to find what's really wrong with them. Lions need a center. They need a guard. Again, I'm not super up on, all the tackles or all the offensive linemen. It's a hard position to really judge for me just because I've never really played it. But through the grapevine, I'm hearing some good stuff about centers. But I think I'm going to look at some of these edges. I think Jack Sawyer would be great to go alongside Aiden Hutchinson. I think LT Overton is going to be great. And James Pierce, who gives you that versatility again, inside and out. I think I'm going to take James Pierce simply for that. He gives you that offensive or the defensive line versatility. Put him on the edge. He can work the outside as well. That's kind of a guy that you want to have on your defense. Dan Campbell being a defensive guy, definitely could see him taking a look at a guy like James Pierce Jr. And we get into the Chiefs. I don't think Chiefs are going to be looking at a running back. I'm going to be completely honest. It doesn't seem like a look for them. I think they're going to be taking a look at a tight end. They have to find a predecessor for Travis Kelce. Tyler Warren has been the most talented tight end this year. He plays a multitude of positions, and that's not to knock Harold Fandon Jr., who's top 5, I think top 10 right now in receiving yards. But Tyler Warren gives you a lot of versatility at the tight end position, and I think it's hard to pass up on a talent like that. I can see why Colston Loveland is getting a lot of love from teams, but I think in terms of production value, Tyler Warren's going to be the guy that you want to take. And just for fun, I'm going to take a tight end in the first round because, again, we've seen some go last year. We might not see one go this year, but just to have some fun this mock draft. Could be a chance that the Chiefs take a tight end in the first round for sure. But here we have it. Cam Ward, Tataro McMillan, Travis Hunter, Quinn Ewers, Will Johnson, Shadur Sanders, Ashton Jeanty, Jalen Milroe, Will Campbell, Carson Beck, Mason Graham, Kelvin Banks Jr., Caleb Johnson, Malachi Starks, Nick Scorton, Arante Ursery, Kevin Winston Jr., Kenneth Grant, Emory Jones Jr., Kyron Lacey, Jihad Campbell, Luther Burden III, Denzel Burke, Abdul Carter, Emeka Egbuka, Quinshon Judkins, Danny Stutzman, Cameron Williams, Benjamin Morrison, Omarion Hampton, James Pierce, and to wrap it up, Tyler Warren. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to let me know in the comments below who you guys think I may have reached on, who's missing from this first round. Again, I always appreciate the feedback. I'll see you guys next video. Peace.